our dear president. In fact, one of the other explanations that I will make to you is how we will win all the federal house seats in Ebonyi State. And we won the 3 Senate seats in Ebonyi State. And they said that you did not get 25%. APC won all the federal house seats, national chairman of the party. APC won all the federal house seats in Ebonyi State. We also won the 3 Senate seats in Ebonyi State. But in the final count for you, they said you didn't get 25%. So how did we win all those seats? And they gave out 350-something thousand votes to Labour Party, even though it did not help them.
Yawa don gas so shortly after Akpabio call rubbish Peter Obi, rubbish LP. Now we call the year say he collapse. As you just they make the speech finish, he say making ye Scott President Tinubu. The next we just hear say the mayor me if he go down. For his life, he no go ever give Peter Obi again because this one a lesson where ancestors stay visit him. Hey, where the village people tell us say, oh boy, come, we dey warn you with this one. The next one heart attack now you go see my country people. Nigeria matter hot. See, make sure so now watch this video from the beginning to the end. This video is well packaged. Make una come hear wetin Olisa Akpabio tell Tinubu. In fact, me, I listen to him over and over again. I say, we're not sure say this man doesn't have president they talk to. In fact, he talked to Ran, he talked to any chairman, my country people, he gives Supreme Court bozak. Oh my, you're giving out the highlights of what TB say he talk. I go let the video play for the end. When I listen from the beginning to the end, when I see the drama we happen for this talk where they talk this meeting where they be see their old where they come they talk their mind they rub their mind they rub out together my country people. Before I go back to Akpabio own, I might just talk Olisa on the main thing we be say he talk for this video. The first way the man first talk, he can't talk say Tinubu should include traditional rulership for a government to make it call the ethnic leaders come out from the major cities, from the major ethnic group, make it call them come out, make it work hand in hand with them. If I when this man talk this thing, I reason I come to say, I say sense. This the way this man talk, so the thing they make sense. He not gonna stop there. He say make president look into the constitution where say because most of the constitution where they operate on now the time of all those are military rule, all those time we be say the columnar masters a day. He say you know don't make sense. You not relate to what they do nowadays. Say we don't work up past that level. I can say, hey, tell me more. Now they can talk say INEC chairman and all those the colleagues say they be wuru they be wara say because how a group like that, an independent commission like that, go they carry plenty work. Now they go print, now they go judge, now they go decide. He said no. He said make president look into the matter. He said because they organize at all. He said presidents don't pass that level. We be say one independent constitution, they can't drag body. He said no. He said they should look into that one. May they relegate power to other areas. We be say they go look into the constitution. I can't say tell me more. The man not stop for there. He come for that talk. Say the Supreme Court should adopt a better system of looking into the electoral system from a proper view like the Kenya system. I got to see this man get brain though. This man be not be our mate at all. If I not be Tinubu mate, but the man say na 70 years in there. I can't look the man face 70 years. I can't look at our president will be 70. I can't say nature cheat some people. Who nature can't cheat? Now the Olisa have been our president. I leave that one for Namoko to answer. So I can't look. I want to say, what is this man talk? He good though. He makes sense. So he say because the Supreme Court not they try. He say whether now Peter Obi and Tinubu can they drag themselves, they go courts, can they judge one case or the other. What did they just do from the process of the election? They just do one, they don't even need to go Supreme Court or anything. Everything go they legit, everything go they super clean. He said Nigeria, he said we they work hard, they go back. He said every nation they work hard, they go from, but we they work hard, they go back. He said make the president look into that matter where he said because when people they talk say in they vote for this person and the thing they read otherwise, that means there is something that they are not addressing. My country people are going to say, hey, that they see this kind of person, if they talk to president, CBC, you president, now you know they look here when they shook it eye inside president, they tell president all this word though. So not be my word. My country people, not end for there. The man can still talk, say, hey. He said Nigeria, they operate on the old-fashioned system. And meanwhile, president, they waka, he go here, he go there. They beg investors, say, they come invest. He said nobody will invest in the Nigerian economy. As Nigerian economy, you'll be so. We be say they not go forward, they not go backward. They operate on the old-fashioned system. Now, you want to make the 21st century, make they come invest for a kind of old-fashioned system. It tell president, say, guy, this thing not go work, all this your agenda not go work. You need to sit down properly, think more deeply into which they tell investors, may they come invest put. Hey, I can't look the man again. I can't say, hey, people they talk shout. The way the man can't talk, we be say the thing I can't think. I can't say wait till this man talk. I stand up, I clap for him before I talk that one. Make I talk this one. He can't talk. Say the section 16 of the Nigerian Constitution. He say me they modify am. He said because he make Nigeria a socialist state. That's when we be say they never enter democracy. I can't say, more than tell me true. My country people, Nigeria not be country, The way we can't talk, I can't say, yes, wait till this man talk. This is it. I know what he talk. He can't talk, say, too much power is delegated to the CBN of Nigeria. He say, the way they think they run the country, they know they run the country on profit making. They run the country in a way we be say we don't know where money they go. He say they go check other countries. He say they make the economy grow through credit, and it's true. If they give you credits, you can't pay small, and they make economy they grow. He say Nigeria not get that system. He say so how Nigeria go take grow. When this man talk and come say, nah, true. He says so if Nigeria no embrace that credit economy system, he said no go fit survive. He said there are things the president need to do before we can begin the talk say we want to live one kind big and mighty one can they be like Oyibo. He said if not, he said we'll not go anywhere. He said so make Nigeria organize their credit system. Hey, then the man comes to talk say the referred budget where Tinubu bring come out of the 2024, where he talks about 27 trillion, he said na rubbish. He don't tell president. He said that's nonsense. He said it is nonsense. He said we don't work up past that level. He said we should be talking about 100 trillion. He said because Nigeria is worth more than 27 trillion. Hey, now so everybody come they clap for this man. They clap. Initially when they say clap, say they not clap. Say he know talk in mind. They not clap. Hey, but when he can't talk finish, he can't clap. The next thing, this man will do like Scoobion. He just jump come out so they call Akpabio. The man begin to talk rubbish. He just insult Obi. After he don't insult Obi, he can't they praise Tinubu. He can't they cheer Tinubu up. In fact, the scenario we be don't make everybody serious. One look into the future of Nigeria. I know what Bemoto. You for the energy. You just fall. You just for everything. You begin to talk about how person go take slap you, how you take slap person back, how they take carry goods, how they come take go buy the goods, come take solve problem, how it go take address the economy problem. In a way where be say they feel looking to. It could they make some kind joke. It can't turn the atmosphere to atmosphere of seriousness. We be say we can't see ourselves. They go back to that old system. We only they bring us, they come out from, or they show us a brighter future. Akpabio, you carry us again, enter that system. You begin to talk rubbish. Begin to talk and celebrate his birthday, his 61-year birthday. He begin to talk, say, Me president no worry, so a enemy go fail. Say after all, na him win election. Me no wetin Peter Obi do dem. They no dey mention Kwankwaso. They no dey mention Atiku. Wetin Peter Obi do dem? Ah, my country people. This one, I show to them say make them not try Peter Obi because the grace wey dey on top of that man head, not be here o. See, Wike wey he fight Obi, he just play politics around the whole thing. Wetin be Peter Obi when he collect am, he give Tinubu. My country people, today wetin dey happen? E be like film for your eye. Your own pikin, your own boy, person wey put there. That one they show am pepper. Hey, my country people, I not bring this story come because anytime I they read this story, I will hear they laugh. And I also laugh and they laugh because you look structure. I dey look the structure. In fact, things were inside. You now see AC, see everything. They demolish everything. They demolish the House of Assembly. They pull am down. Fapura pull am down. One let Wike no say come. I'm not in control. They dissolve the House of Assembly. In fact, they say the seat, 25 seats is now vacant. All the 25 lawmakers, when they go celebrate Wike birthday with her for Abuja, as they all take comot, now you all say talk. So yeah, una seat don dey vacant. Una no dey come back here again. In fact, it changed everything. See, all because of say this Wike fight Peter Obi, betray am. Now, Akpabio he throw mouth give to Peter Obi, rubbish Peter Obi, say despite say the thief Tinubu votes, give to Peter Obi, say they not use the vote to do anything, not say make them be winner. As he talk and finish, they collapse. Una see say na not go leave Peter Obi alone. Una go use na head take carry am. My country people, now this one I break come for una. I go let the video play. Mukuna watch and mukuna say waiting I talk. I not add Maggie. I not add salt as it be. Now so it be.
I will focus on solutions. We have problems. I mean, we know it. So there's no point repeating that rice is 60,000, petrol is up. We all know that. I think what we need to look at is, like you said, how do we move forward? That I think is the issue. I, as a 70-year-old, started civil rights when I was 29. It's a long time, but I still have hope. I have hope. But I would like to draw attention. I'm happy the NSA is here, because I also studied counterintelligence and insurgency policy at SOAS in 1980. We need peace, security to develop. We can't win, in my opinion, the war by armed forces. So I will suggest to the National Assembly to consider the possibility of inviting the ethnic nationalities, the owners of Nigeria. You know, the past national conferences, I was one, attended with our guy here. We have no stake in Nigeria in the sense that I am not an ethnic nationality leader. I suspect inviting these leaders together with our traditional rulers, who I think are being ignored in the process, we might be able to resolve this Boko Haram, IPOP. By the way, my brother was kidnapped yesterday in Onitsha. Thank God he was released. He said his name was Nnamdi Obiora. When they searched his bag and saw my name, they said, you can go. So I'm thankful for that. But that is not what we want. For the president to make progress with the president of the Senate, peace must reign. So the first task is, how do we find peace Would it be by the armed forces? My answer is no. It will be by executive and legislative process to find how we can draw in Ohaneze, Afenifere, Pandef, Arewa, the traditional rulers that have been ignored. I personally believe they have a role in the constitutional process. If this is done, I feel we will achieve peace. So that's number one. I would like us to also consider moving away from 9 to 5 transactional legislative process to transformational uncommon process, which Mr. President here is familiar with. We need to change how, we must have an objective. I will offer 10 objectives that will help. Mr. President has made 3 tough decisions. I agree with some and not all, but the removal of subsidy, entirely agree. It was a market correction. It's had an impact, so it's how we deal with the impact by legislation that will be helpful. Now, for us to have had a unsettled constitution for 23 years ought to end with the 10th National Assembly. 23 years is a long time to be discussing the constitution. So I would suggest that the first thing would be, how do we get a new constitution? There are 2 ways. The first is what the National Assembly is doing now, which I disagree with. I prefer the solution proffered by the late Ben Wabeze. He refers to the extraordinary powers of the National Assembly. The National Assembly has 4 types of legislative powers. Only one is in use. The National Assembly is the National Assembly sitting as the House of Assembly of the federal government, pursuant to Section 4.2 of the Constitution. But please check Section 4.1. The National Assembly is the National Assembly sitting as the sovereign parliament. Section 4.1. So the National Assembly is at once the House of Assembly of the federal government and the House of Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In fact, if you recall, when the National Assembly was groping to find powers to invoke the doctrine of necessity, Section 4.1 was the power to use. Now, Section 2.1 gives a very vital power in the Constitution. It describes Nigeria as indissoluble. Indissoluble. So the sovereign power of Nigeria is to be found in Section 2.1. And there's only one citizen that carries the sovereign authority of Nigeria. As far as I researched, there's only one citizen who is referred to as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that is President Tinubu. No other person. Every other person is either Federation, AGF, CJN, but no other person is referred to, and there's a purpose for that. So the President of Nigeria carries with him the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Federation is not a political entity. It is merely a subdivision within the Sovereign Republic of Nigeria. So it's important that the National Assembly, in carrying out its legislative functions, will understand that it has a trinity of powers, the final one being the FCT. So when that scope is understood, Professor Wabeze says there are 2 broad ways you can deal with the Constitution. One is Section 8 and Section 9, which you are using, but has taken us 23 years in altering the Constitution. The other one is what he calls constitutional replacement, which happened in 1963, because the Constitution right now is not an act. It is a schedule attached to an act. So Professor Wabeze says, if you invoke Section 4.1 and Section 4.4 of the Constitution, all you need to do is detach the schedule from the act and replace it with the new constitution. And that is the matter resolved. Rather than every new assembly, we keep discussing the same issue. Because we can't make economic and political progress if we have a discussion that is lasting 23 years. So that is the point I would like to leave. Second point will be the electoral process. President Tinubu here had a petition, P2B versus President Tinubu. When I checked all the petitions, I actually found out that the petitions would have been best addressed to INEC. P2B has no quarrel with Mr. President. If you look at what he stated in his petition, it was like a referee refereeing a match and allowing a goal for Chelsea. And then Chelsea petitions against, say, Arsenal. Well, it's not Arsenal's. It's the referee. So we need to adopt the Kenyan model. The Kenyan model is very simple. A petitioner presents a petition which, if it raises reasonable cause, it convokes a tribunal. The tribunal turns to their own INEC, not to the respondent. So justify the election. Were the PVCs working? Was the BVACs working? Those are not issues that would concern Mr. President. Those are issues that would be addressed to the Election Management Board. In that way, you will find that the pressure will now turn to the Election Management Board to do their work properly. Because when there's a challenge, the petitioner and the respondent don't fight each other. It is the INEC that carries the brunt. Once that is done, and I was a member of the Always panel, everything will change. And I also recommend the unbundling of INEC. It's doing far too much. INEC is the largest printer of papers in Nigeria. That's not their job. It's not their job to be printing. INEC is doing far too many things. So in the Always petition, in the Always report, we recommended removing the function of regulating political parties by the creation of a political party regulation authority. We recommended creating the Electoral Offenses Commission. So I would urge the 10th Assembly, presided over by its chairman, President Akpabio, to simply enact the recommendations. And that will be the end. That was in 2007 or 8. So many years have passed. The Electoral Act makes a mockery of democracy. So we can correct that mockery by passing all the recommendations of the Always panel. The legal and judicial governance process. By the way, I'm speaking only to a narrow issue of development. I'm talking about governance. So governance is the process by which you can elevate economic and political matters to its optimum. I feel now that we are operating suboptimally. And if governance is well applied across what I'm saying, we can get to optimum performance. The insertion of Section 315 in the Constitution is a horrendous mistake of lazy people. Horrendous error. So what Section 315 does, it allows, for instance, the law, statute of frauds that was passed in the UK in 1635 to still be on our books. In the case of Rwanda, Paul Kagame took a different view. He set up a National Reform Commission, and they amended, modified, and introduced 1,000 new laws in 3 months. So, Mr. President of the Senate, may I respectfully urge that we do away with Section 315, we review our laws, expunge all that is unnecessary, obnoxious, dead, some of the laws passed by when Mr. President was very active in the civil rights movement, all the laws that the military passed, Why are they on our books when we're a democracy? So that ought to go. Then, as the president of the Nigerian Bar Association between 2006 and 2008, I know we have suffered legal failure. If you suffer heart failure, you are dead. So for all intents and purposes, we don't have an effective legal system. And in my practice, a lot of clients come and say, if we invest, how long would it take us to go through the courts? And when I say 5 to 10 years, they don't want to come. So if we're looking for investments, we've got to decapitate the legal system of Nigeria. We have to rewrite it. It can't stand. It's too old-fashioned. The same thing with the judicial system. You know, it's sort of ironic for me to say this, not only as a former president, as a senior advocate, as a former member of the Nigerian Judicial Commission. But when my dad was CJ of East Central State, we all wanted to protect the judiciary from military incursion. So we ring-fenced the judiciary. So everybody is afraid. No, don't touch their money. Don't do this, don't do this. And that philosophy carries forward today. The judiciary should not be as aloof as it wants to make out. I was the first, accompanied by my brother, Wole Olanekbaku, who applied because we felt we were qualified to sit in the Supreme Court. The mafia there threw us out. Threw us out. You know why? Because we still mix administration of justice, which the National Assembly cannot with respect interfere, how they do their work, with judicial administration, which the National Assembly can make laws. There should be a law governing the process of appointment of senior judges. We can't leave it to the National Judicial Council. All the Constitution says is, once you are 15 years, you are qualified. But the National Judicial Council and the Supreme Court judges have formed a mafia. And we don't get there. And the Supreme Court is this is, with the greatest respect, the worst Supreme Court I have seen in my 45 years of practice. It has to change. A challenge for the National Assembly is to enact a law that deals with judicial administration. I didn't say administration of justice, so you can't go there because that is the internal workings of the judiciary. But judicial administration, no, the National Assembly can make laws. You pass a law so that I do not depend on the Chief Justice of Nigeria if I wanted to become a judge. The law will be passed stating the criteria to become a judge. You will find a big change. So I make that very strong recommendation to the National Assembly. I now turn to a point which I think deserves special attention. We can't pretend that there's hunger in the land. There's a lot of hunger. But I commend President Tinubu for the bold decisions he took. Very few would have taken it. You are to be commended to remove. In fact, I don't know whether you really thought about it because you said it in your acceptance speech. But that was the correct decision, sir. What needs to follow? No, don't clap, please. I'm not interested in claps. What needs to follow is the tough job that the National Assembly must do. You must recognize as leaders of your people that they're suffering. So you must now support the president with consequential legislation. Consequential legislation that will give them peace. I have introduced in my office, I never knew I would do that, and it's working, and some of them are beginning to have potbelly. I've introduced breakfast and lunch. If you pay, for instance, your driver 100K, rice is 60K, how will he afford it? He can't. So I'm forced to now create a cooking staff for them. That means, Mr. President, not you, sir, this one. That means, Mr. President, that your work is heavy. Your work is heavy. And you know, please remember this, The only way people will respect, I saw you running at the stadium, which means you are loved back in Uyo. If you are not, they won't be there. The only way that all of our political leaders will be relevant in 4, 5, 6 years is to do good today. There's an urgency. Do good today so that you can walk the streets and they say, this is our man. Do good today. Make sure you use don't sleep. Do not be awake. Be awake. Be worried about what your people want you to do. Then when you leave, you will find peace. You won't need to be protected because you have done what people wanted. They say, Ashiwaju, great man. Great man. But if those things that people want haven't taken place, no way. So this point I will make now is important. The most important thing we need is economic governance. As I said, Mr. President has taken a number of tough decisions. The Naira is devalued. The only one I haven't heard Mr. President talk about, and I'm sure you will, is how to... Personally, I don't like the word restructure. I prefer devolution. The center is too powerful. So I like to see something around devolution so that many people can participate. But in the sphere of economic policy, may I call attention, Mr. President of the Senate, to Section 16 of the Constitution, which actually makes Nigeria a socialist state. I'm not sure if people are aware of it. It makes Nigeria a socialist state. Please, when you read it carefully, the commanding heights of the economy belong to the government. That's not the intention. I think the intention is to make Nigeria a mixed economy, a liberal economy. So if we don't get the ideological basis of Nigeria's political economy right, nothing else will work. So I recommend that Section 16 should be modified. Now, the national economy has 5 fingers. It has the hard economy, it has the soft economy, it has the blue economy, it has the green economy, and it has the brown economy. All these will be tied by 3 important things: fiscal, monetary, and trade policy. Right now, Nigeria has no trade policy, and that, I think, is a big mistake. The last trade policy was in 2017. The CBN, they work on monetary. The CBN is carrying far too much responsibility. And quite sensibly, in the UK, their own CBN, the Bank of England, devolved power to 2 great institutions. And I think we need to see it here. The Prudential Regulation Authority. Their work is to make sure that the public trust we have in our banks is indeed followed. Our banks are not traders. It is a shame that me standing before you, I have never had a loan in this country because they want my grandmother who is dead to come. In the UK, I've had loans because the system works. The Prudential Regulation Authority in the UK ensures that the banks work. In fact, some of us keep saying, how is it in spite of all this poverty, the banks are making tremendous profit? How is it? So where is the money going? We've got to ask, where is it going? Then the banks, if they misbehave, you have the Financial Conduct Authority to keep them in check. So the CBN needs to devolve 2 important powers: supervision and conduct. In the UK, it is retained within the structure of the Bank of England. But there is a huge institution that ensures that oxygen, money, is in the system. How can Nigeria be described as a country that wants to be in the first 10 when it is not a credit economy? No country survives without a credit system. Nigeria is not a credit economy. So it is a matter of urgency that the National Assembly should look for ways to create a system which economists call gearing, to gear. If you have 100 naira, and there's access to finance, you can gear it. When you gear it, then we all become the better. So gearing is crucial to create a credit economy. But it's important that the laws are there. Right now, the laws are not there. So these are some of the tasks that I urge the National Assembly to consider. One of the most important under economic governance is a national credit guarantee cooperation. These are people who give credit. They see your idea, it is good, they give you the money. We need that. When all these are in place, you'll be very surprised. The Nigerian economy will gear up. When I wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance in the last government, the response was, yes, we had forgotten Murphy. You see the name? Murphy, Ministry of Finance Incorporated. In her response, she accepted that Ministry of Finance Incorporated had, this is only a preliminary study, 33 trillion naira. And we say we're poor. And our so-called nonsense budget is 27 trillion. For a country of 200 million? No. Mr. President, sir. To you, sir. Mr. President of the Senate, our budget next year should not be less than 100 trillion. If it is, then we have failed. I don't want to say you have failed. I'll say we have failed. But I know you know what I mean. 100 trillion. Go and look for the money. Look for it. There are 56,000 uncompleted projects around Nigeria. The federal lands alone, the money there is unbelievable. Look at the Federal Secretariat. It's wasted there for the last 40 years, yet we cannot build the road from Ibadan to Lagos when that is 140 billion. What is it doing there? Sell it. Sell it. And don't be involved in things that the private sector can do. And here I talked to Zach, and I told him, and I'm happy that the president's committee mentioned it. No parastatal or department or agency, thank you, should collect revenue. It's not their job. Nimasao, customs, it's not your job. The job of customs is enforcement of customs regulations, not collecting revenue. So all that collection should go to a new National Revenue Agency. They are the ones to collect money, not the individual parastatals that don't even remit. You will then find that the money is not as difficult as you think it is. You can get the money. Because I have only 5 minutes, I'll just quickly show you, because the president has given a task. Nigeria will be $1,000 trillion economy in 6, 7, let me say 10. It is more than doable. It is doable, but it will require absolute hard work. And that's why I'm pointing out to, look at Solid Minerals. My friend that I haven't seen him, Dele, he can do it. He can do it. Nigeria has about 44 or 45 absolutely required minerals, but not the laws. Not the laws. We have legal failure. Now, let me just return to a point I missed in under economic governance. The difference between revenue and capital. There are different things. So revenue is the public revenue is consecrated by Section 162 of the Constitution. Why is it that our leaders only concentrate on tax and not non-tax? There's a lot more money in non-tax than tax. So if you put tax and non-tax together, you're looking at more than 100 trillion. When His Excellency Electoral had his meeting with us in Lagos, I showed him where to find the money. I showed him. So we can get the money. So it's possible. So tax and non-tax. Public revenue, federal government only has so much. But it is not federal government public revenue that drives the economy. It's capital. Capital. What is capital? Capital is the national asset. Let me just take housing. In Lagos, 98% of the housing have no title. No title. Therefore, you can't take a loan. Nobody will give you. I, standing before you, I have never gotten a loan. But I got a loan in the UK. I bought the first house. Because the legal infrastructure is there, I got the second one. Aren't you happy for me? I got the second one. I went back and I got the third one. But here I build standalone. I build one, I build the next one. Why? The legal infrastructure to draw capital does not exist. And I recommend you read Mystery of Capital by Hernando de Soto. It's a fantastic book. I presume, predictably, that capital, not revenue, is what will drive this $1,000 trillion economy, not public revenue, because public revenue is consumed. You don't have much of it. So I really urge you look at the differences between public revenue and capital. Solid minerals, I've already mentioned it. Trade policy. We can't be a dumping ground. We need to have our own local WTO, which I call the National Trade Office. The last gentleman there who came from WTO, the late Ambassador Osako, did a tremendous job, but he wasn't empowered. So we need two things here. A trade policy. We need a National Trade Office established by Parliament. Then we need trade remedies legislation. So the trade remedies legislation is the countervailing power that checks when to raise tariffs. If Trump could do that, the so-called liberal democracy, why can't we do that? They tell us that no, keep your doors open, and they pour things here. Now, if people keep pouring things here, how can you grow? So we need to worry about the appropriate trade policy. Right now, Nigeria is a dumping ground. And as a dumping ground, we're unlikely to develop. They would be dumping. China is dumping. The China-Nigeria trade agreement ought to be torn to pieces. It ought to be torn to pieces. It is so unbalanced. We have about 29 multilateral and bilateral treaties. Some were written in 1959 when we were not even independent. I hope you know that the people in Paris, they still collect money from Mali, from Niger, and all that. That cannot be if we want to be a sovereign country. Maritime governance, that's my specialty. Well harnessed, I told His Excellency, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. And by the way, Mr. President, thank you very much for that. That was a great move to create that ministry. It will be the cash cow if the laws are there. If, for instance, I told President Akpabio, I'm your surveyor, you told me to go and survey your land, which you said is only 1,000 square meters. And I tell you, no, it's actually 5. You say, really? You say, please fence it. I was part of the team that studied Nigeria's EEZ, and we're one of 8 countries that the UNCLOS gave an additional 150. We're doing nothing. The Chinese come in the top restaurants in Hong Kong. They refer to it as Nigerian tiger prawns. We are one of the world's leaders in tuna. We have such wealth in our aqua systems that it's a shame we don't understand how to use it. We need to have strong laws. The last time I spoke, I said, we need to have a coast guard. How can you not have a coast guard? Anyone can come to your place, steal your fish in the night, and run away. A coast guard, Mr. President, crucial. A coast guard for all sorts of things. So the $1 trillion economy is possible. Piece of cake. It just requires what? one of my partners sent to me. Smart. National Assembly must be specific. Don't get up at 9 and come to work at 11 and leave at 12. No. You must be there for the people. Mr. President, I want to see you in 4 years looking older. So that you would have been worn out. You will get up in the night, walking. The work of the National Assembly must be measurable. Must be able to measure it. It must be achievable. There's no point in saying, see, we'll do all this and then you do nothing. It must be relevant. And it must be time-bound because the first 4 years. So if SMART is applied to these principles I have enunciated, I can assure you the price of, which one again is it? The price of rice. The price of rice will go down. We are a great, blessed nation. No climate wahala. No, all those things. You see, no Gaza. No this, no this. What's wrong with us? Leadership. When I see two great men here, Mr. President here, my neighbor who abandoned me, Mr. President here, who conferred on me, Obong, so I'm waiting for my crown. I can only wish Mr. President the best. Look, what Nigerians want is not court cases. So let me tell you, they are not interested. They are not in, that is the private affair of the PDP and the APC. Now that the APC is there, make us happy. That is all we want.
So looking at the hall today, I will say the President of Nigeria, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, chosen by the people of Nigeria, elected by the people of Nigeria, even from the lead speaker, INEC owes you a lot of explanations. Because he pointed out that nobody should ask you a question as to how you won your election. That wasn't a problem between you, and some people still believe Peter Obi, whereas Peter Obi was third. So I think people tend to think that the party that came second was PDP. No, PDP went down, down, down. I think the issue actually, yeah, I think Peter Obi was third. Am I right? So why do people think that Labour did well? How could they have done well when they were third? They were third. Labour was third. So when they say, okay, don't ask the president a question, don't ask Peter Obi, they seem to forget that the person who actually contested and took second was His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. If everybody forgets him, I won't forget him. Because he was vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and he took second in that election. So INEC, from what the lead speaker has said, must explain to us how you will lose election in Lagos during the presidential election. And Lagos is your base. And like Mr. Fowler was trying to explain, the policies you put in place in Lagos is what has made Lagos the biggest growing economy in West Africa for a city. The biggest. He was trying to point out that even in terms of revenue generation, you made 600 million a month. But by the time you met the internally generated revenue autonomous, you brought in autonomy that even the House of Assembly did not understand. So, our dear President, in fact, one of the other explanations that I will make to you is how we will win all the federal House seats in Ebonyi State. And we won the 3 Senate seats in Ebonyi State, and they said that you did not get 25%. APC won all the federal House seats, national chairman of the party. APC won all the federal House seats in Ebonyi State. We also won the 3 Senate seats in Ebonyi State. But in the final count for you, they said you didn't get 25%. So how did we win all those seats? And they gave out 350-something thousand votes to Labour Party, even though it did not help them. So I can't I can't, but I sat down there, I was, my mind was saying that myself and the chairman of the Constitutional Review, Barao, must go back to discuss these papers. And I hope that our dear senior advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Abakoba, will give us a written paper. If you don't give us, we'll transcribe from what we have recorded here. But we would like a written paper to discuss. Because this is the kind of paper that will stimulate the mind of Professor Ozegobe. Ozegobe, stand up, let the president know you are here and you were listening. I thank you. So in reality, sir, we have achieved the essence of our meeting here. First, this is a national gathering. The president is here. The Speaker of the House is here. The national chairman of the party that requires explanation from INEC is sitting here. You do require explanation. Because I actually listen very well. Mr. President, in the legal terminology, what they were saying is that we should shift the burden of proof from the person who won the election to the person who conducted the election. Because in spite of all your losses, in spite of the fact that you won Ebonyi State hands down, I don't think they gave you 15%. That's the truth. In spite of all your efforts to turn around the economy of the Southwest, particularly Lagos, they said in the general election, conducted the same day, that you did not win Lagos. So that's what he was saying. I think that has worried a lot of legal minds, that they must explain to you whether somebody was intentionally trying to cheat you from becoming president of Nigeria, but God did not allow it.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.